Domo arigato, geek to me radio, da 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 da. Domo arigato, geek to me radio, da 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 da.
Welcome, geeks and nerds, girls and boys, to a brand new episode of Geek to Me Radio. Tonight, I am not in studio, but I'm leaving you this pre-recorded message from my past, your future, to tell you all about Two Rivers Comiccon, how things went, what I think happened anyway. We'll also have my interviews with Tom Payne and Frankly Built Cosplay, all that and more. Stand by.
We're talking TV, comics and movies, and video games. And if you don't know Star Trek from Star Wars, we'll try to explain. There are 12 doctors, 4 Hogwarts houses, 1 ring rules them all. To be the greatest Pokemon master, you must catch them all. You must catch them all. Try to catch them all. Gotta catch them all. Gotta catch them all.
And if you are driving around the greater St. Louis area tonight listening to us on the Big 550 KTRS, hello to all of you out there. If you are streaming us on the KTRS app or on the KTRS website, hello to all of you as well. And no video tonight because I'm not actually in studio. Today is Joey V's birthday, my executive producer's birthday. He turns 25. Happy birthday, Joey V. Thank you for all that you do. And again, as I always say, I would not still be doing this show here coming up on 9 years later without you and all that you do for me, your constant support, your help with everything, no matter what crazy thing I ask. Hey, can you go pick up Carl and Maria at the airport at 11:58 at night? Sure, if you need me to. That's just the kind of guy he is. So thank you to Joey V for all that he does, and happy birthday. So yeah, as I said, I'm not in studio. I'm probably still closing down Two Rivers Comiccon, which happened this weekend. Hopefully you were there. Like I said, it's this weird place because you're hearing this on Sunday night. I'm trying to imagine what Sunday night will be. It's currently Friday morning at 1:11 a.m. Friday morning because I just picked up the last people from the airport. Got to be back out there tomorrow morning to set up. So I'm broadcasting into what is my future, and from you're hearing it from what is your past. It's very surreal, but it's the wonders of radio. Just today, Thursday afternoon, we got out there to set up, and it's daunting. I mean, this whole past year, we've been planning this now. For those of you who are listening, I announced that we were going to be doing this on my 400th broadcast. Tonight is my 465th broadcast, so 65 weeks ago, we announced we were going to do Two Rivers Comiccon. Susan Eisenberg, the voice of Wonder Woman, was there with me. Rick Burchett, 3-time Eisner Award-winning artist, was there with me. My business partner, Paul Gubani, was there, owner of Cloud9 Comics and more. And hey, let's do it. We jumped in, all 4 of us. Susan and Rick were incredibly helpful, and immediately, I'll do anything I can to help you launch this thing. They reached out to people who they knew. Rick obviously did the glorious poster art for us for our promotions that we were using with Harley and Batgirl and Poison Ivy. Even though he's drawn it hundreds of times before, he did a great job, and we're so appreciative of that. Susan was immediately like, yeah, let me call this person and see if I can make sure to get them on board. And it's been great. It's been a lot of hard work. I'm sure Paul, I've grated on his nerves many times, but we work well together. We pulled this off, and at least I hope we pulled it off. It's looking good as of now. Again, Friday morning, but the load-in went well yesterday. We got everything set up. I'm so excited to bring this to you guys. I know you've already experienced it, but here I am again on the past. Surreal radio, remember? I'm so excited as I sit here like a kid on Christmas morning. Tomorrow I get to open the presents. Tomorrow Santa's here. And I'm excited. I'm excited that all these people have agreed to help. I'm excited for all the businesses who said, how can we help? What can we do? The comic book shops that are coming out to set up at our store, the people I've met at conventions who said, yeah, we'd love a booth. This sounds like fun. And I'm humbled. I'm humbled by what I see before me. and I can't wait to talk to you all next week to really let you know how it went. But hopefully I saw you there. Hopefully you came out and enjoyed this. Hopefully it went well, because if it does, we're going to do it again in 2026. We'll have some announcements. If you were there tonight at the last day of the convention, you already know what I'm about to tell you, who are coming in. I'm not going to tell you now. I'll save it for next Sunday. But if you were there, you got the announcement of who we're bringing in next year and what our dates are. Hopefully that won't change. Hopefully that'll stay in stone. And we're going to keep working on bringing the greater St. Louis area the Comic-Con that this community so richly deserves. We've got a vibrant community here of comic creators, just Ben Sawyer, Jim Oosley, Tyler B. Ruff, Aaron Walther, Greg MC. Now I'm just picturing around the MC. I can't think of the full last name, so Greg, I apologize. But we've got so many great comic book creators here locally, not to mention the people like Roy Thomas, who are native to St. Louis. Mark Bagley, when I picked him up at the airport Thursday afternoon, he said, yeah, we're celebrating, my wife is here with me, we're celebrating our 45th wedding anniversary on Saturday. They're doing it at my Comic-Con. Are you kidding me? That made me feel good. They're like, yeah, we'll go to this con. Just the amount of talent that we had come out for this. I'm humbled. I'm impressed that all of you showed up, and thank you from the bottom of my heart. As I go into this convention, we start tomorrow in about 12 hours. 12 hours from now, the doors will have opened, and you'll all be coming through to meet Susan Eisenberg and Phil Lamar and Carl Lumley and Dan Reba and Alan Burnett and Mark Bagley. And actually, Mark Bagley is only there Saturday, Sunday. You will, by the time you've heard this, have met Mark Bagley, I should say. And all the volunteers, my gosh, all my friends who gave up part or all of their Memorial Day weekend to help out with this. All of you, there's too many of you to name because there's about 40 of you, and it would take up the rest of the hour to properly thank each one of you, given the amount of time that I would need. So, but Paige at the Foundry, Elizabeth and Chris and Aaron at the CVB, Randall at the First Capital Trading Inc., Lydia at Cozy Shop, all the comic book stores that came out. Obviously, my sponsor, Bugs Comics and Games, Larry, who we'll tell you more about later. But Comic Relief, Endless Comics, Fantasy Shop. I'm blown away. And hopefully we'll get to do it again next year. Stay tuned. Make sure you follow the number 2 Rivers Comic Con on Instagram and on Twitter. And keep up with us there. We'll be posting stuff throughout the year and let you know as soon as we do about what we got going on for 2026. All that said, I had to get in here and do a radio show because as of this moment, in 9 years in August, I have never done a best of or left you guys with something that wasn't a new show, which is what I intend to do right now. I'm going to give you a new show. We've got my interviews with Tom Payne. If you saw Prodigal Son on Fox, another one of those shows, man, that deserved another season. We should have gotten another season out of that show. So many places it could have gone. What a great cast they had in those first 2 seasons. And frankly, Built Cosplay. He's been on the show before. Just an incredible cosplayer, incredibly talented designer, 3D printer, and he kind of walks us through the process of some of the stuff he's done as well. And we're going to have those interviews coming up for you here shortly. I want to make sure I express my thanks again for the sponsors who worked with us. Chef Liz at Tenacious Eats, who said, yeah, I'll cater the green room. I'll fix the green room for you. Make sure your celebrities and your comic book people are well fed. And then she got the licensing for the Conan the Barbarian showing, which we did on Saturday night at Two Plumbers, which leads me to thank Two Plumbers for, they're like, yep, we can use our event space upstairs. That'd be great. And when we were going back and forth with where we're going to show the movie, he's like, why don't you show it here? I've got this big screen. They can have video game play an hour and a half beforehand. Roy Thomas doing the Q&A and the panel to talk about Conan before we showed the movie, on which he was a consultant. So thank you to Two Plumbers Brewery and Arcade. I know I'm forgetting people. I'm trying to picture the list in my head. Fantasy Shop, who sponsored Phil Lamar, Susan Eisenberg, and Maria Canals Barrera. And they had a huge setup at the Foundry Art Center. Great area. They were doing tabletop gaming demonstrations. Looked fantastic. I know when I just left earlier, they were all set up already. They're going to do final setup Saturday morning. But it looked great. The crew there is fantastic. And Endless Comics, who sponsored Mark Bagley. Thank you to them. They did. They're fantastic people. I was very excited to have them, and obviously we got Mark Bagley out of the deal, so even better. My comic book sponsor for the radio show, Bugs, Comics, and Games, Larry sponsored David Michelini, who I just found out was David Michelini and not Michelini. I'd been pronouncing it wrong this entire time. He corrected me without too much damage. He threatened to hit me with the back of his hand, but he thought better of it, and thank you for that, David. I would love to have had him on the show, but he says, if I do yours, I got to do everyone else's show because I say no to a lot of podcasts and everything, which I get. So my panel with him, I got to host his panel, though, at Two Rivers Comiccon, and that'll be up online. We've got a lot of great people taking video. Bob and Chris and Jessica were doing the panels, and we'll have video up on the YouTube channel shortly, my YouTube channel, geektomeradio.com. You'll have a link from there, and we'll probably take the David Michelini panel and we'll make that into a show at some point for those of you who weren't there, so that those of you who didn't get to go to the con, you'll get to hear me talk with David Michelini all about Spider-Man, Iron Man, the Avengers, and everything else he's done. Very prolific writer. Viviano's, Tony Viviano, fantastic guy. Thank you so much, Tony. I know things kind of turned a little bit differently than we'd expected going in, but thank you so much for your sponsorship, for your help. Now I've got a new friend. Tony's a great guy. I'm very excited to have met him and all the help he's given me with the Comic-Con. Thank you to Allied Global Marketing, because they hooked us up with the trailer for Ballerina, with the new from the John Wick universe with Ana Darmus. And let's face it, I'll see anything with Ana Darmus in it. So that was great to have that kind of backing to us. The people over at 105.7 The Point, Lori and Matthew, were fantastic. It's weird for one radio station to plug another radio station, but it's not like we're in competition with The Point. Rizzuto had me on his show last Tuesday, and Rafe and Learn and Moon and King Scott and everyone over there. Fantastic group of people. Thank you to all of them for having me on the show. Thank you for Lori and Matthew and all your help doing the promotions and the giveaways that they did. Fantastic group of people over there as well. I'm going through my brain trying to remember everybody. I'm sure I mentioned Lydia at the Cozy Shop. I mentioned Randall at First Capital Trading, Inc. I'm sure I'm forgetting people at this point, but again, keep in mind, when you're hearing this, for me, it's 1:20 in the morning on Friday morning, and I've been up since almost a full 24 hours. So my brain's porridge at this point. We had to set up both locations. I'm not complaining. It was a lot of fun. I mean, looking back on this, I got to have my own Comic-Con. How many people can say that? So thank you to all of you who came out, who bought tickets, who sent inquiries, and were like, hey, where do we find this? Your interest in the convention meant everything to me, so thank you for all of that, for all of you who came out today and this weekend and had fun. Hopefully you had a great time. You got to meet some cool people that we brought in, and got to experience historic St. Charles, which when you get to experience with the weather like we had this weekend, I know St. Louis has had a lot of bad weather. I don't know what I did to deserve the weather we got this weekend, but it was perfect. Not too hot in the steel shop, which has no AC. They got the giant fans, which really cool it off anyway, but this weather was key to keeping that from being just a sweat shop in there, as hot as it can get in the summer, or if the temperature goes too high. So Nathan and Tanya over there were fantastic. Thank you to them. I mentioned Paige and Hilda at the Foundry, and all the people over there at the Foundry. Ryan Cooper at the CVB as well has been a big help. I could go on and on. I'm sitting here droning, I feel like, and we've just been chatting away. Tell you what, let's do this. Let's take a quick commercial interlude so I can stop flapping my gums, and we can go to my first interview. We're going to take this quick break. You're listening to Geek to Me Radio on the Big 550 KTRS. Please stand by.
Great Hera, may the force be with you. This is Susan Eisenberg, voiceover actress, and you are listening to Geek to Me Radio.
Welcome back to Geek to Me Radio. I'm your host, James Enstall. The program Geek to Me Radio, heard here every Sunday night on the Big 550 KTRS. Thank you very much for tuning in and checking out your radio active source for all things pop culture. I think that's my new tagline. I'm trying it on. We're seeing what do you think? If you like the tagline, let me know. If you don't, keep your mouth shut. I'm kidding. Let me know. I love constructive criticism. I'm excited to be doing this show and bringing it to you every week. I try very hard to give you brand new content every single week and not do a best of or stuff you already heard before. Tonight is no exception. But before I get to my first interview, I want to make sure we tell you about my comic book sponsor, which is, of course, Bugs Comics and Games on Bryan Road in O'Fallon, Missouri. Easily reachable from either Highway 70 or from Highway 364. Go out there and check him out. He is going to be, or I should say he was, at this point that you're listening to the show, he was out there and he had a booth at Two Rivers Comiccon. He was the sponsor of our guest, David Michelinie, and he hosted several panels. He hosted the Into the Spider-Verse panel with David Michelinie and Mark Bagley and Rick Leonardi. And then he hosted the Roy Thomas panel on Sunday, which he was so excited about because Larry knows more about comic books than I will ever hope to know. His encyclopedic knowledge, he was having a chat with Paul and myself and Liz today at the steel shop when we're setting up, and Paul said something and Larry's like, yep, and actually, and added on to it. And I'm just sitting there like, yeah, I kind of knew that, but good for you guys. Because he's got that knowledge, though, it makes him the perfect guy to own a comic book shop. If you go in there and say, hey, I'm looking for an issue. I feel like there was one where the Hulk and the Thing were fighting on top the arch, and he'll tell you, nope, that's Fantastic Four, issue 167. Here you go. Just that kind of knowledge. It's like having your own personal comic concierge. And if you've not been to the store lately, there's always new stuff coming in because he's always buying. So check out the back issue selection. I always say it's not a real comic book store if they don't have back issues. And I love going through there. Even though, I've been to his store. I'd go every Wednesday for New Comic Book Day or every Thursday, depending on how I can get out there. And I just love flipping through. I may have been through his back issue bins before, but just that going through and seeing those covers, seeing those old covers from the 80s, the 90s, the 70s, and before that, into the early 2000s, obviously. So whatever it might be you're looking for, ask him if he has it. If not, he'll probably be able to get it for you. And if you're online, Instagram.com/BugsComicsAndAndGames. He puts stuff up there, so if you are looking for something and your local comic book shop doesn't have it, but you're not in the St. Louis area, check with Larry and Bugs Comics and Games on Instagram. He might just have something you're looking for. If your comic book store sold out, he puts up new comics and be like, yep, we've got this. We got that new Mark Spears Monster issue number 4, or we've got this variant cover of Battle Beasts, or whatever it may be. So check him out on Instagram, Facebook too, facebook.com/GeekToMeRadio. Give his page a like there. I'm sure that'll make him happy. And if you get the chance, if you're in the area, stop in and check him out. Tell him you heard about it on Geek to Me Radio. He's my official comic book guy because I've been going to him for, I don't even want to say how many years. It's embarrassing, but quite a while. Before I could drive a car, we'll put it like that. Bugs Comics and Games. Very proud to have them as the official comic book sponsor here on Geek to Me Radio. Since we're talking comics, obviously cosplay and comics go hand in hand. I was recently at Planet Comic Con. I know I've got my own Comic Con, and I'm seeing other Comic Cons. What kind of a person am I? Planet Comic Con in Kansas City, I got to catch up with this gentleman again. I'd never met him in person. We've had him on the show once before. Very knowledgeable cosplayer, very talented guy with 3D printing and all the stuff he does for his cosplay. Here's my interview with Frankly Built. Planet Comic Con talking with Frankly Built Cosplay. We've got the Iron Man behind us. He's in his Red Hood outfit. It's been a while since I've had you on. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, no problem, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, again. Yeah. You said this was your first Planet Comic Con. You were surprised by the size.
Yes, sir.
So the other cons you've been doing, have they just been as far as layout, or what's been the surprise for this one?
I didn't really know much about the cons here out in the Midwest, and I'd always heard about Planet. I just didn't realize it was this big of an event, and how far people come to just this one, because I guess there really isn't anything else out here, but like size-wise, like this big.
Right.
So it's really cool to see. Yeah, definitely surprised by it.
Yeah, easily for my money, this is probably one of the best Comic Cons, top 3 in the country, I think. Right.
Oh,
so
okay.
If you get a chance to go to Terrificon, that's my other suggestion in Connecticut.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah. So, how long? For those of you who are listening, you can't see, but for those of you watching, you can. How long did this Iron Man build take you?
Well, this Iron Man suit is a little bit of a bad gauge for time because it took me 2 years of on and off. I printed the thing, rushed it real quick, got it printed, and then I slept on it for a year and a half. Didn't touch it. Then I was like, hey, you know what? I want this ready by New York Comic Con 2022 in October. Well, it's August. So then I picked it back up and just cranked through it. So it took me 2 years, but It probably, I'd say, 3 to 4 months collective work.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you've got the other Iron Man armor too. Was this one the first build that you did for Iron Man, or did you do the other one first?
The red one was first.
Okay.
This was the white one was the second build. Went a lot smoother, quicker. Yeah, learned a lot.
Was it just the time-wise you learn more, or is it certain not fabrics, but the certain textures and colors make it harder for one than another, or is it?
This suit was actually easier to paint because it's just white, gold, and a really nice gunmetal I found, where the red suit is a much more complicated paint job because it's layered gold and it's a much more metallic shine, so you need to be a lot more careful with your post-processing, your sanding. Prep work is key, right? That's it. If you don't do your prep work, your finish is going to come out like dookie. Can't have that.
No.
And ask anybody who's ever painted a car. Like 99% of it is your prep work, and when you want a nice finish or something, a nice shine, adding a nice clear coat, adding a nice shine, it's just going to highlight all of those imperfections. So the white suit was actually a lot easier to paint.
Does it, when you're doing this, how many times you make the helmets will probably be an easier example. You do it and like, that's not quite the right color, and you have to redo it. Is that, or do you kind of know at this point what you're doing? You get the color you want, the exact shine the first time.
I honestly don't think I've ever repainted something because the color didn't come out good.
Okay.
And that's absolutely just has to do with luck and research. And yeah, usually, I want this red, I'm going to use this red. Now, for doing my Iron Man suit, I did test a lot of reds in different paints, so I was testing them on spoons and stuff beforehand, so I already knew what it was going to look like ahead of time, and then once I started laying it down, I'm like, okay, this works. So definitely doing some testing. Plastic spoons goes a long way, but yeah, usually when I go into, because I don't want to waste material, right? So when I go into the actual painting of the prop or something, I already know what color I'm using.
Well, you mentioned this Iron Man suit we have here with us got a couple of dings and damages in transit. Is that an easy repair type thing, or is it just depend on the break, or is it most of the stuff like I can cover that with paint? How do you go about doing repairs when something like that happens?
It's very circumstantial. Sometimes you can glue stuff back together. Sometimes you tape stuff back together. Sometimes the damage is so bad that you need to reprint the part. Like this part right here got crushed. Ooh, you can see that it got knocked in, so that's affecting the magnet placement now. So that got crushed in the suitcase. So little things like that. The knee popped off. I got to hot glue that back together.
Okay.
So it's just very circumstantial. On my red suit, that's taken so much damage that unless I repaint certain parts, you will see the damage. It's cracked in half. It's split. You can only glue. You can glue it, but you still see the seam. So unless I want to strip it down and repaint it, which I really don't want to do, I'm kind of beaten on that point. But
is something like that easier almost to start from scratch rather than to completely repaint it or anything like that? Is that easier to do sometimes?
Sometimes, yeah. Depending on the severity of the break, yeah, printing a whole new part and just sanding and painting it might be easier.
When people look at this stuff, I'm sure you get this all the time. Great. Can you make me one? Is that a question you get a lot?
Yeah, how much for one? Can you make me one? Honestly, it's usually, I have had people agree to the price. Like, hey, it's going to cost $8,000 to $15,000 for a suit because the time, the labor, the materials, the fitment, the shit, all this. Some people agree to that, but then I have to look it back and be like, all right, now is it worth my time?
Right.
I'm going to spend 2 to 3 months making this suit for you. Yeah, I can make some content about it, but I don't get to enjoy it when I'm done. It's not for me, and it's going to take up more time. Do I want to spend 3 months doing the same project for someone else, or do I want to spend 3 months every week doing a new project, making a new YouTube video for me? It's something I enjoy. So I've only ever accepted one suit commission, and that was it. I don't want to fuss around making something for somebody else. So.
And that brings us right to the point of your YouTube channel, your social media.
I will show you how to do it.
It's amazing. I mean, I'm kind of someone who would rather almost spend the money to have it built.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just get on horribly with tech stuff. That's why I've got Bob to run all the tech stuff. But I'm curious,
Bob.
With the YouTube thing, you mentioned doing these videos and everything. That's a lot of people who follow you. Do they do it mainly to see how to do it themselves, or there's just cosplay aficionados who are like, I love the cosplay aspect? Do you have a nice mix in there? What's kind of your demographic usually?
I think a majority of my demographic is people who are looking into 3D printing. Now, what they do with that 3D printing varies, where I have the niche or the corner who does armor builds, and a smaller subset does Iron Man builds. But people definitely are looking at post-processing. All right, well, I'm not doing Iron Man stuff. I'm doing Batman stuff. I'm doing Halo stuff. I'm doing Star Wars stuff. And though I know people who watch this whole series, the Star Wars series, because it taught them how to rig up armors, even if it wasn't an Iron Man suit. They learned things about lanyards and buckles and straps and magnets, so you can still get information out of the video, even though it's a Red Hood video or an Iron Man video. You can still apply a lot of those principles. So there's definitely costumers, there's definitely prop makers who I know watch my stuff looking for just new techniques, because at the end of the day, all of us are looking for the way to get the best finish with the least amount of work.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. No one wants to sit there and sand and paint and do this. How can we get this to look as good as possible for the least amount of work, right? That's it. Now, there are some, oddballs out there, and that's fine, who enjoy, like, hey, I enjoy crafting with foam, even though I know I could use a printer, or that's totally fine. But I think a majority of people are just looking for a quicker way to post-process, a quicker way to get the nice finish, a quicker way, increased quality, increased print quality. So it's a big multitude of that. And then there's the people who just look at my channel only for 3D printing tips.
Mm-hmm.
They're not doing anything else beyond that. They just want to know about printers. They want to know what's the best printer, what's a good printer for my size. And then they might be printing. I mean, I talk to people who they print stuff for dental work. They print stuff at hospitals. They print stuff for the military. They print stuff for hydroponics. Like, it is a whole it's a big community where I get to talk to, like, even though I'm doing the geeky kind of side prop, I'm still dialing this printer in. I'm still using this printer. So being able to talk to people and have them ask me questions like, oh, that was a good print quality. I'm printing something for the medical field. You're printing an Iron Man helmet, but we still have a good common ground of, like, we're still using the same machine.
Mm-hmm. Do
you have tips and tricks? So it's a really cool approach to being able to mesh with so many different people that otherwise I would never be talking to.
Right.
I don't have any business talking to a doctor about anything else besides, if I have to go to the doctor. But yeah, so I've met some pretty cool people, like people way smarter, way richer, and more important, and just average Joes who just want to print an Iron Man suit in their basement.
Have you noticed certain videos hit a little bit more, and you try to at all tailor, because obviously you want a little bit more of a bump to your channel occasionally? Which of those videos have you seen kind of a pop in? Is it mostly the 3D printing?
It's
is it
more
when you're
generic.
carrying
It's
them?
more generic 3D printing videos,
Okay.
because it reaches a wider audience. If it's a new printer that's coming out, people want information on that printer, obviously. So the 3D printing and the reviews and the information to printing always does better. It's when I start narrowing things down and doing specific prop builds that lose it. That's a much smaller demographic of like my audience. They still appreciate it. There's still information, but that definitely narrows it down if I do a prop build versus, hey, like, what's a good printer? Or, like, best printers of 2024, or, a review on a new bamboo that's being released or something. Those are the videos that are going to get more traction, and it fits my channel. It's, hey, these are the machines I'm using. I'm a 3D printing channel, but I'm not a 3D printing, I'm going to help you make the best printer. No, I stopped doing printer maintenance and printer upgrade videos a while ago, because I don't see the point. No, I don't want to upgrade my hot end. I don't want to build a Voron. I don't want to, hey, what parts should I add to my bamboo? None. It works. Stop. There's no need to add these parts to it if you're using it for hobby or consumer grade. So just enjoy it. Just use it. That's what I want. The 3D printer is a tool for me to make this stuff.
Right.
Where I want it to be a tool. I want it to be an appliance. There are channels that teach you how to modify and amplify and increase and dial them in. No, that's fine. I want the printer to work so I can build the thing.
Yeah.
How quick can we get there? And these are the printers I recommend. These are the printers I use, and gets us to a finished product.
Obviously, different types of build. The Red Hood helmet versus the Iron Man armor versus the chest plate you're wearing now and everything like that. So I don't want to say they're the simpler builds, but what are the more fun builds for you personally?
I like big FU swords. I just like big freaking swords. I grew up, playing Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy and, Bleach, and I like just the big, giant swords. They're comical. I love building those because you have to take this thing and bring it to life. The Cloudsbuster sword, once I had my printer and I'm like, I want to make an Iron Man suit. I got my printer. Oh, I made a Keyblade. Oh my God, I can make Cloudsbuster sword. Oh my God, I can make Cloudsbuster sword the proper size. First big prop I printed.
Yeah.
And it was, 7-foot BS sword, and I'm like, this is so cool. Because I was able to bring that thing to life now that, like, I couldn't buy that online. I mean, I could, but, like...
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah, so I like building the big, like, Mihawk sword Yoru from One Piece. That is my favorite sword I've ever built. It is 7.5 feet, makes no sense. It is gorgeous, and I love it. Yep.
I'm curious, not that I'm asking you, what's your 5-year plan, but as a cosplayer, you build this stuff, you're showing these videos, you're teaching people. Do you have, like, a next level where you're like, this is what I'm doing now. This is where I'd like to take it. Is there a certain thing? Because you're traveling, you're doing these fun conventions, everything like that. That's a lot of fun. But is there another here's the next tier I want to be on?
I like doing this stuff. I have my interest in wearing the suits and cosplaying has dropped, and I really like talking on it and teaching about it. Mm-hmm. So if you're asking me, hey, do you want to walk around in your suit for an hour? We'll pay you the same, $100, whatever. Here's $1,000. Wear the suit for an hour and walk around. Or here's the same amount of money. Stand at your table next to the suit for 8 hours and talk on it. I'd rather do the 8 hours of talking, because I get to teach people about it. I get to look at this, open this, and get them involved. Where when I'm wearing the suit, a lot of people think I just bought it. They're like, oh, it's a cool costume, probably got it online, and they got it made. But if I have it spread out on the table, opened up, and teaching people about that, that's what I like doing. So being able to shift more to that, which I think I've kind of done. It's cool to wear the costumes. I do enjoy it sometimes, but I'd rather talk on it. I'd rather hopefully next year, if they have me back, which would be amazing, I would love to have a printer here and have a live demo going, bring a couple different helmets and, do a live demo. This is post-processing. These are the different qualities and settings. This is resin versus FDM. Here's some electronics. I had this helmet set up in England at a Maker Central event, and I had the control board outside of the helmet taped to the table, and then I had a little switch that said, press me. And kids would walk by, press it, the mask would open, and I had them for the next half hour. And just being able to do that and show what goes into this, I love teaching that type of stuff. So evolving the channel into more of that. I can't be on camera forever. I would like to try, but I know that's not sustainable. Mm-hmm. But then maybe doing more, maybe I could get my name built up enough where I am in the echelon of Odin makes. It'd be incredible where I can talk on this stuff and keep it evolving with it, and staying ahead and being a subject matter expert as it goes and evolves, and the new types of cosplay, and just getting people interested in it. And then also in the back end, expanding maybe my Etsy shop, maybe doing print farm stuff as a secondary or tertiary income. Mm-hmm. That's always a good thing, and it's never, especially with social media, it's so volatile. You can't put all your eggs in one basket. You cannot. I've seen people, their TikTok gets deleted, and that was it. And it's what am I going to do now? It's I've had my YouTube demonetized for a few days one time because of a bot error, and I was like, oh God, well, good, sponsorship deals and this and that. So it's evolving it and reevaluating it. I mean, every day. It's not even something. Oh, well, I'll worry about it in a year. It's no, I got to worry about it tomorrow. Yeah. How can I stay? How can you stay relevant? How can you continue to put out content that people are interested in? Mm-hmm. And if people start getting sick of my face, I have to reevaluate. All right, well, what can I do now? What can I shift? But also being in social media, traveling, cons, cosplay, prop studios, that type of stuff. You're also networking. So I think if I had to shut down my channel tomorrow, I think there's a couple calls I can put in, hey, are you looking for a prop maker? Are you looking for somebody to run your print farm? So I have some backup plans. Yeah. Yep.
And my final question, what are some of the biggest misconceptions people see cosplayers? Oh, you get to dress up. It's a fun thing. Oh, you have a 3D printer and you print stuff. What's probably one of the biggest misconceptions either you've experienced as a cosplayer or just that you think is out there about cosplayers in general, male or female?
A misconception about cosplayers? I think why cosplayers do it is misunderstood by normies. I like doing this type of stuff, aside from the teaching aspect and getting people interested in it, and I just like building geeky stuff. I like doing cosplay because you can go to Disney and see Mickey and Minnie and some Avengers and Avengers Campus for now until they close it down and redo whatever. So you can see some of those. You can go to Hollywood and walk around and maybe bump into Tom Cruise. You can bump into somebody in the streets who's a celebrity, but where are you going to go to bump into Iron Man and Wonder Woman and Superman and that version of Batman you liked? Or where are you going to go to do that? You go to a Comiccon, so then these people get to dress up and provide that. Where are you going to bump into Jack Sparrow over there talking to a bunch of Mandalorian and droid cosplayers? Where are you going to get that? Yeah. So being able to put the suit on and walk around, you get to see people's excitement and provide that. And oh my God, hey, let me take a photo with you. You get parents who run up with their kids or kids who want photos. My favorite is when parents run up, just an adult, and he's like, oh, hey, man, yeah, can I take my kid's going to love this. My kid loves Iron Man. It's man, you don't got a kid. Like, that's for you. Just say, you already bought the ticket into the con. You're already a geek. Just be like, hey, man, can I get a picture? That's it. So being able to provide that, it's cool. It's a cool feeling. It's a cool, like, just that excitement. I'm like, yeah, I love this. This is so awesome to be able to bring that to life. And then my channel lets me teach people how to also dabble in that. Like, oh, I've always wanted to cosplay as Red Hood. I've always wanted to cosplay as Iron Man. I just didn't know where to start. Hopefully I can help you start. And that's what I want. Just get your feet wet, get your feet in the door, make the thing. You're going to suck at it at first, then make the thing again. And make it again and again and again and again. I'm not better than anybody else here or who cosplays or who builds or 3D prints Iron Man suits. I've just been doing it for 6 years now.
Right,
I'm ahead of you. I'm not better.
Yeah.
That's it. Everything I teach you can do in your garage, literally. That's it. And I try to keep that mentality of, like, I'm not better, I'm just ahead of you.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
Simple.
And I know we've had you on the show before, but for the people who may not have caught the last episode, give everyone your YouTube channel, social media handles so people can keep up with you online.
Frankly built on all social medias. That's it.
And if you're listening to this in the podcast form after the show is aired, scroll down to the bottom of the page. We'll have that in the show notes. Appreciate your time. Thanks so much.
Thank you for coming out.
There he is. Great guy, very humble, especially for as amazing as his builds are and the wealth of knowledge he has in the film, not the film, and the amount of knowledge he has in the 3D printing arena. Just for my money, one of the best people out there. So thank you again to Frankly Built. Check out his channel and check out his socials. He's very active on Instagram and Threads as well. So check him out. Good dude. Very glad I got the chance to meet him in person. I'm going to take another quick commercial break. We're going to come right back. My interview with Tom Payne, actor from Walking Dead, Prodigal Son, and so much more. You're listening to Geek to Me Radio on the Big 550 KTRS. Please stand by.
Hey, this is Phil Lamar.
Hermes Conrad.
The samurai known as Jack. And you're listening to Geek to Me Radio.
Phil Lamar, in addition to earlier we heard Susan Eisenberg, both people that hopefully you got to come out and meet in historic St. Charles at Two Rivers Comiccon for our inaugural year. I know you do. This guy keeps going on about this Comic-Con. It's my Comic-Con. I'm so excited that I was able to bring this to life. It's just humbling with all the connections I've made. And I'll tell you, the reason I hosted it where I did is because of those connections. Historic St. Charles, the website, discoverstcharles.com. I loved crossing. I picked everyone up from the airport today. Cross over the Blanchette Bridge, and they're like, oh, wow. Several of their reactions, they were like, oh, look at that. You cross the Missouri River, you look over to your right, and you see the historic area. You can see the spires of the first Capitol sticking up. You see the boathouse, the Lewis and Clark boathouse. And it's kind of cool to get that reaction. And these people who have been all over the world, been to different Comic-Cons, they were charmed beyond belief by historic St. Charles. And I love the area we hosted it in, and I love all about the places there are down there to visit. And not just our Comic-Con, obviously. There's something going on almost all the time. Whether it's an ice sculpting event in January, their Heritage Day festivals that they do out there, a sesquicentennial celebration, and, of course, Christmas traditions and Legends and Lanterns and their new festival for Valentine's Day, Once Upon a Valentine. Ryan Cooper is the brainchild behind all of those fantastic festivals that you see and events. They do it right. They do it with style, and I'm thrilled that I've been a part of these festivals now for 26 years this season. Here we go. We're doing another season. But whether it's these festivals, whether it's the restaurants or the shops, there's always a good reason to go down and visit historic St. Charles. And I know many of my friends who I brought in, Carl Lumley, Maria Canals-Barrera, Phil Lamar, Susan Eisenberg, Dan Reba, Alan Burnett, Mark Bagley, Chuck Patton, Keith Williams, Rick Leonardi. They'll probably come back because they loved the area. They thought it was so cool that we hosted a Comic-Con like this in this historic district. So if you haven't been across the bridge for a while, maybe you haven't visited, maybe you're in Alton and just haven't gone over there, check out some of the new restaurants, check out some of the shops up and down North and South Main Street that make this such a wonderful, wonderful place to visit. Near or far, start your trip at the website discoverstcharles.com. I'm terribly sorry. discoverstcharles.com, as we always say. It's an historically good time. As I choke here, as I apologize, we're going to get to my very next interview. I had the chance to interview this gentleman at Planet Comiccon a few months ago, and I, without further ado, present you Mr. Tom Payne.
Planet Comic-Con, talking to Tom Payne. So many things where to start. We talked a little bit before we started recording. Loved Prodigal Son, though. That was such an epic series. And I know when you're on a series like that and the series doesn't get picked back up, it's got to be heartbreaking. Was there a thought for where the next season might have gone? Did you guys have rumblings?
I think so. I mean, I never really discussed it with the creators. And actually, the show, if it does end at that point, which it did, kind of works. Like, it's a full circle thing. He kills his dad. That's the end of the show.
Right.
I think there was potential, actually, even if Michael's character did die, to still have him be in Malcolm's head, which we did in some episodes. So there's still potential to do more. If someone wants to pick it up again. But it was a bummer. But it's kind of a COVID victim, and a bunch of different factors came together, and fundamentally it wasn't popular enough when it aired. But someone told me earlier on it was in the top 10 on HBO Max again, and I think we could have a resurgence. Could definitely be one of those shows that you put on Netflix and people flock towards.
We've seen that happen so many times. Shows get brought back 5 years after the fact.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see.
With working on a project like Horizon, period pieces like that, when you're looking at scripts, do you gravitate towards certain things, or are there certain things about scripts that can be like, oh, I do really want to do that? Anything about...
I think a good story is a good story. That was an opportunity to work on a Western written and directed by Kevin Costner, which I was like, there's just no way you're ever going to say no to that.
Right.
When I was standing on that set in Utah, it was just everything that you ever dreamed of that a movie could be. So that was really exciting to be a part of. And to be directed by Kevin, I was just kind of living the dream, really.
When you're working on different projects, do actors ever sway like, oh, this person's attached to the role?
Yeah.
Does that kind of raise the factor for
Definitely,
you?
yeah. I mean, Prodigal Son, when I got that job, I was like, wow, I'm the lead of the show, this is amazing. But honestly, I was jumping around with joy in my living room because I knew I would have those great scenes with Michael.
Yeah.
And Michael is such a phenomenal actor. And, you only get better by working with good people and great people, and it just brings you up. And I knew that he would bring the best out of me. And that proved to be the case. Those scenes that we had together were so fun, stressful, but they turned out to be amazing, it was such a joy to have him on board. Yeah.
Are certain characters, I don't want to say harder to play, because as an actor, that's kind of your things to find out medium. But with Malcolm, it was such a complex character. Did you have any issue finding where you wanted him to live?
I have a pretty strong imagination, and we all have interesting relationships with our parents, and I have a good relationship with my dad, but there's a lot of unexpressed love, there's a lot of typical male relationship, father-son relationship, and I don't walk into a scene going, okay, this is my dad in front of me, but just by virtue of pretending that person is my father, you can't help but get into the same emotional place. Mm-hmm. And so in my experience of working, certain jobs come to you at the right time, and it was, I don't know, it was that point in my life where I was thinking a lot about my relationship with my parents and stuff, and it just kind of dovetailed into that show, and it worked. And because Michael is so phenomenal, those scenes that you just walked into the scenes and just kind of almost watched what happened in those scenes as they played out. I never really planned anything. Sometimes I'll sit down and go through my script and make notes, but with something like that where the emotions are so raw, it's better just to see where the scene takes you. And Michael is so capable that you feel safe with each other, and you just see where it goes. There were times in scenes with Michael where I would drop back into being Tom and be like, wow, that was good. Or oh my God, you're so clever. Or I can't believe you just did that. Or because it's just fun to see someone who's so in control of what they're doing. It's fun to see people like that work, when someone's in the zone. It's really cool. Yeah.
With The Walking Dead, there was a very physically demanding character. I know we've had Kari Payton on the show a couple times, talked about how much fun it is to do that series, though. What was your experience like overall playing Jesus on that?
Well, I got lucky on that show because, first of all, it was the biggest show in the world when I joined it, and I was given a character that immediately stood out. And he had his ninja skills, but he also had a very cool look. He had a very fun introduction with the two biggest characters on the show. landed on my feet in that part. And that whole thing was such an incredible roller coaster, and I obviously changed my career quite evidently. And I because he was such a lovely character as well, I only get love from being on part of that. Like, people just love the character and are always so nice to me when they talk about the show. There are other characters on that show who were not so loved, who get abused, and I've never had any of that kind of stuff. Like, he was such a well-loved character, and I feel very fortunate to have been the one to play him. Yeah.
Do you remember what the audition process was like for that? Was it a very rigorous one, or were you pretty much like, they saw you walk in and were like, no, this is our guy?
It's very strange as well. Like, a lot of times jobs will get cast at the last minute. Like, I did the tape on a Wednesday and got cast on the Friday and was filming the next week in Atlanta. And I was actually in England at the time. I was living in California, but I was in England, and I flew from England to Atlanta to start work. And it was a tape that I had done with my girlfriend, now wife, over my... I was filming myself, and we were Skyping with each other. Skyping at the time. And the scenes, I didn't even know what character I was auditioning for. It had a fake name, and it was a fake scene, and I think what that does is it forces you to just lean on your natural impulses. And I think they were very clever. Everyone who gets cast on that show was so perfect for their part. And I think it's because there's, like, the inner of that person, whoever it was, came out in whatever audition scenes they had to do. And they just each time nailed the core of who that person was with their casting. But I only found out after I was offered the job. Actually, I wasn't even. My agent called me and was like, "You've got the job. We think it's this guy from the comic books." And so I didn't even know. It was wild. And then, of course, when I saw that it was that guy, I was like, "Oh, he's kind of a big deal. This is going to be fun."
Were you a comic fan before that?
No, and I didn't read them. I didn't have time to read them before I started. So I just went with, what was on the page. And then in between my first season and my second season, I read them. Yeah.
If you had to say who your favorite person you ever worked with on The Walking Dead, who would that be, and why was it Carol?
I don't think I ever...
I think you had a couple scenes with her, but they were
I didn't have much
group
with Melissa.
scenes. But everyone I've talked to said she is the most lovely person.
Yeah,
so
Melissa's lovely. Melissa's kooky. She's, like, lovely and kooky, and there's a lot of, like... she's cool. I like Melissa a lot. She's a very particular person. I really enjoyed working with Lenny, Finn Morgan, because I think that character especially had so much soul. There was a moment when... So I go... In one of my first episodes, I go to Alexandria, and Rick is, like, presenting me to the community and stuff. And Morgan stands up and makes a speech. And you just felt the energy in the room when Lenny stood up and gave the speech, and everyone's looking at him, and he just radiates this. And we had a lot to do together as well, and I feel very fortunate to have worked with him as closely as I did. And we had that fight as well, which was really cool. So I really enjoyed working with Lenny. But honestly, everyone's great. There were a few times when I'm in this show, and that's Daryl Dixon, and that's Michonne, and I'm Jesus. It was like,
how often you get to say that, right?
I mean, that's such a gift as well, It's like really funny. Like, I never in my life thought that people would walk by me whispering, "That's Jesus," or shout it at me in the street. I mean, it's very, it's been a very enjoyable part of my life.
Are you an actor if a show goes on after you are pulled away? Do you keep up with the show, or I've talked to the actors who are like, "No, I'm done with that show. I can't watch what goes on."
It's not ever really a conscious decision not to watch it, but I didn't watch it before I was on it. I did watch it a bit when I was on it, but not so much. And I went straight on to Prodigal Son, which was, like, really intense, and then I had kids, so I don't watch that much television anymore. But I mean, the last thing on the plane I watch stuff,
Yeah.
But no, through no real, like, decision. I just there was so much. I mean, it went on for 11 seasons. So many episodes.
It's a long run, yeah. You have a line for me. I don't want to keep you. My final question is, if you had your druthers, like, you could, I want to be on this show, I want to be on this show. Is there one show that's kind of like, I would love to be on Doctor Who, I would love to be on an episode of Severance now that that's hit big? Is there something that like, I would consider it a bucket list item to be on the show or work with this actor?
No, I don't know, really. And I don't like to set... I've learned not to... Every job that I've ever really, really tried to get, I never got. No. And then it's another job that comes and blindsides you, and you're like, oh, I guess I'm doing this. And so I don't necessarily like to set those kinds of goals. It needs to be a little bit more hazy. And honestly, just working with great people, like great directors and great actors, is the most important thing, and great scripts is the most important thing. It's very rare that all those three things come together.
Sure. Yeah.
So, just out looking for great stuff. And then, like I said, I'll be looking in one direction, and then it'll be like, oh, do you want the opportunity to work with this actor or this director? And I'm like, oh yeah, 100%. I've learned that you're never really in control. You can point yourself in the right direction.
I feel that very much.
Yeah. But more creative stuff and more great people.
Fantastic. And people want to keep up with you online. Are you very active on social media? Any place people should watch for you?
I just left Twitter.
Okay. You're not alone there.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
Yeah. But I'm still on Instagram. I think I'm the Tom Payne.
Tom Payne.
The Tom Payne on Instagram. And I did join Blue Sky, and I need to get more into that. But mainly Instagram, yeah.
All right, and we'll catch you on all of your various projects as well. Tom Payne, I appreciate your time. Thanks so much.
Thank you, sir.
Great guy, so nice to give me the interview. He did, obviously, he never, people I go to these conventions to get interviews, they never have to, and it's always so gratifying when they agree to do one. So thank you to Tom Payne, and earlier to Frankly Built Cosplay as well, for their time. Planet Comiccon is such a cool place to go to meet these people. That's one of the reasons I love doing the conventions, because sometimes that I get a good portion of my content from going and meeting these people, and then luckily, I meet these people, and I'm able to, at some time, get a relationship going, and I'm able to reach out and say, hey, we're doing a Comic-Con here. You want to come to town for Two Rivers Comic-Con, which is how I was able to pull off the impressive array of talent that I was able to bring in this past weekend. Not to keep going on about it, but I'm going to probably. So, yeah, it's always fun to talk with these different people, and it's one of the reasons I love doing this show. Why I started doing this radio show is because I like talking about this subject, and a lot of people like to have these conversations as well. So if you like what we're doing, check us out on youtube.com/Geek to Me Radio. Give the page a like there. Subscribe to us, please, because I'm trying to get to 10,000 subscribers before the end of the year, where we've just cracked the 9,000 mark, so I've got a little ways to go. But if you know about it and you haven't subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button, click the bell so you get notified every time we go live with a brand new show. And if you know of someone who hasn't watched it yet, turn one of your friends onto it. Say, hey, have you heard about Geek to Me Radio? I do that with podcasts all the time. If I really like it, I'll tell my friends about it and hopefully get them to subscribe. Do that for me. Help me out a little bit. What do you say? YouTube.com/Geek to Me Radio. You can like us on Facebook.com/Geek to Me Radio. I am on Twitter and on Instagram and on Threads. Again, at Geek to Me Radio. Very easy to find on all those platforms. So check us out. And while you're there, you can follow the number 2 Rivers Comic Con as well. Keep up with what we've done and what we will be bringing you in 2026. Just 1 year away, and we'll be hopefully having another convention right there in historic St. Charles, bringing in some cool people. This year's theme was superheroes, in case you couldn't guess. Next year's theme is 80s and 90s, and we've got a lot of great people we've already been spitballing who we want to bring in. We've got 2 talents locked in already ready to come in St. Louis and check out the area and have some fun with all of you at our convention next year. So bookmark it now, Two Rivers Comic Con on Twitter and on Instagram. And, of course, follow Geek to Me Radio. We'll bring you updates right here like earlier this month, we had the Road to Two Rivers, so I had a guest and a sponsor on every single show for the past 3 or 4 shows now, and it was fun. It's kind of hopefully gives you a little bit of a run-up and let you know what you're expecting. And that's about it. I just want to thank again all the people who contributed, all the volunteers, all the businesses that pitched in, Chef Liz, even Jordan and Raven at Work and Leisure. They were so supportive and let's put your posters up. Let's put your postcards out at the events you're going to host here with us. They were great, and I haven't shouted them out enough. So Jordan and Raven, thank you so much for all the work you've done. Check out Work and Leisure STL for all the cool things they've got going on. I'll be hosting some more events there with Chef Liz and her Tenacious Eats events coming up in June. So you can check out the calendar of events that Chef Liz has in June. They're doing Friday the 13th, and they're doing Troop Beverly Hills. Those will both be must-go-to events for all of you listening, so make sure you check those out. Put those on your calendar now, and hopefully we'll see you at one of those. And that is about the end of our show here. I'm just kind of watching the time because I'm all by myself here at 2 in the morning trying to get this show put together for you so that all Pete has to come in and do is hit a button, and the show will roll on its own. trying to work that out here. But yes, thank you to all of you who listen every week. It really means a lot. All of you who do listen to the show and check me out and follow me and watch on YouTube when we go live with a new show. Your support means everything to me. I wouldn't still be doing it if it wasn't for you. Well, I might be because I enjoy it so much, but it makes it better that you're along for the ride with me. So thank you to all of you. Thank you to Joey V, my executive producer, who always makes this show look and sound as good as it does. Check out the Justice League Revisited podcast, where Susan Eisenberg and I go through the Justice League episodes with a special guest and comment on those. That's going to do it from the big 550 KTRS. Until next week, my friends.
You watch the Flash. It's not in the way you love Scotty Young arts. It's not in the way you play Mario Kart. It's not in the way you look when you make Game of Thrones references. That's our show. This is Geek to Me Radio. That's our show. This is Geek to Me Radio.
Thank you to Rivers Comiccon. Good night.